Well, good morning. Dr. Glenn here with another installment of Family Matters. Those are healthy tips that we're giving you on a weekly basis to make sure that your family is really growing and improving and just thriving in the year ahead of us. Now, for January, we've really focused on those healthy physical activity concepts, these things that you want to be putting into your daily routine so that your body's getting the right physical activity and movement exercises, the things that our bodies actually require. Now, remember, we talked about yoga with specific reference to kids. We talked about high intensity interval training, and we mentioned that your kids can be doing your boot camps and they'll love that as well. And then we talked about the benefits and the importance of walking. And we had some comments through the last month saying, I love those concepts, but how do I get my kids motivated? I tried to get them to do the boot camp with me, and they just wouldn't do it. I tried to get them outside playing hockey in the front driveway, and they just wouldn't do it. How do we motivate our kids to these healthy activities? So we wanted to focus today, give you my top 4 or 5 tips to make sure that you can get your kids out there being active with you, to make sure they understand how important this is. So the first one, it's a little bit tough to take, but it's the most important one, is this whole idea behind mirroring. Your kids are smart and intelligent, and they'll only do things, or they'll do things a whole lot easier if they're mirroring you and they know that it's important in your life. Now, there's a couple ways you work this. Number one, it doesn't have to be done with the kids. The idea that you get up and leave the family for an hour to go for your run instills in them that that's an important thing that you have to do for yourself, and then they will adopt those behaviors. But it's not just that, it's also doing these things with them. Making sure that when you come home, you're not sitting down and flicking on the TV, but you're pulling the kids outside to make sure that you're playing some games in the backyard or hockey on the front driveway. And whatever it is, your kids will have much more success if they're mirroring their adults. Now, it's also very easy for younger families. But it's also easy because it just becomes the thing that your family does. If you're going away and you're hiking every Saturday morning, then the kids just know they get up and they don't have a choice. They can't say no because it's just what the family does. We get up and we have breakfast and we go out for a walk. So starting those healthy behaviors very early on makes it much, much easier for when they're getting into the teen years. Now, the second tip I have for you is to make it fun for the age that they're at. Kind of a general parenting tip for all different ideas. But for little kids, just getting outside and playing, wrestling on the couch, wrestling outside, playing soccer, kicking a ball around, throwing a frisbee, whatever it is, just make sure they're being active and increasing their heart rate. As they get up into older years, make sure that's age appropriate, getting them into soccer so that they can be with their peers, different athletic clubs, whatever that is, making sure that it's age appropriate and something that they actually enjoy doing, and you're not telling them to have to do it. Now, around this topic as well, when they start getting a little bit older, you can actually get their opinions. Listen, we got time for 3 activities this year. One of them is going to be around music and the arts, maybe. One is going to be physical. What is it you want to do for physical activity? And get them to actually set it for you. Now, the third one is to set some goals. And you have a lot of fun with this as a family. You can have a spot where there's a whiteboard on the wall, and they can tick off every day where they've had 60 minutes of activity. And when they fill up their calendar, if you've been 80% successful, whatever it is you want to set for your family, then you get to go do something. And it's not go for a pizza party. It's not to come in and buy some Nutella and eat potato chips in front of a movie. Things like maybe renting a kayak as a family and going out kayaking, heading up to Mount Washington for tubing or snowboarding or skiing day. Whatever it is, it has to be a healthy activity that they get at the end. It also instills that great benefit of goal setting and achieving those goals. Now, the last one I wanted to talk about, we mentioned a little bit earlier, is to make sure that you start including their peers in these activities. This is where you really start to win. If they have a group around them that is comfortable and that friendship formed through activity, then they're just going to carry on that activity without you actually hounding them to make sure that they do it. So as they grow up, there's lots of community events. We have a great system in Nanaimo. There's things like yoga classes. You can get into swimming. There's things like gymnastics clubs. Our kids got into the BMX. I don't know if I'd suggest that. There's a few breaks and sprains that happen there. Dance, all these things where they can actually form friendships and meet their peers that you want them to meet that are doing these healthy activities. I said that was the last one. I have one more for you. You have to make it fun, and more important to be outside and active than it is inside. And that means you have to spend some time and money developing the outside area for them to play, just like you have inside. So what I say in our rule is if we spend $400 or $500 on a TV or a Game Boy or laptop or puzzles to be doing inside, then we got to do the same for the yard outside. Make sure that you're developing a very fun, active outdoor space for your kids to be active and to play in. If you have any specific questions at all around this, I know I'm going to get some because I've already had some questions. By all means, drop me a line, drglenn@rfunnels.ca. Our family's been through this. We've had our struggles. I don't know if I have all the answer for you, but hopefully I'll be able to give you a few tips to make sure that you get your kids out there and active and then healthy. Otherwise, if I don't hear from you, have a wonderful, safe, healthy week, and I'll see you next Monday morning.